Lesson 4-6, writing equations. So we are going to take sentences, turn them into two-step equations, and then have to solve them. So one thing that you'll notice is a lot of the problems will say a number. When it says a number, that means that's the place that you're going to pick a variable for it. You can pick n or x or anything that you like. There's no rule that it has to be a certain letter. And we're just going to review some things that some terms that we saw at the beginning of the year. So when you see sum, what operation are we talking about? What does it mean, Stephen? Addition. Okay, when you see difference, what operation are they talking about, Tori? Subtraction. When you see product, what operation are they talking about, Layla? Multiplication. I'm going to put parentheses because, or a dot. I don't want to put an X because we don't use X's anymore for times, right? What about quotient? Quotient means divide, a division, so you write that. One thing I want to point out, when those are used, the symbol goes for the word and. Here's what I mean. If it says the sum of a number and 7, the sum of a number and 7, the number would be a variable and would be where you put the operation. Sum means you'd put a plus there. A number and 7. Okay, so when you see that kind, that's where you put your operation symbol between those, wherever the word and is. Yes? What? You know what? You're right. That looks kind of confusing. I see what you're saying. Quotient means I'm going to do this, but we do division like n over 7. Okay? It's like a division. Yeah, it did look like minus. I'm glad you said that. That kind of cleared that up. You're right. So for quotient, we don't actually use this symbol, but it does mean division, okay? We do this kind of thing for quotient. All right, any other questions about that? So the difference between less and less than, I want to clear that up. Less is like using the word minus. Okay? So if it says 6 less a number, I can't hardly write on this thing, sorry. 6 less a number, that really literally means 6 minus a variable. If it says 6 less than a number, okay, that's different. You're taking 6 away from that number. So it would be n minus 6. So if the word than is used, if you see this, that means the number or whatever comes first goes last. When it's just the word less, it's like using the word minus. 6 less a number, 6 minus n. But less than, you have to switch it around. It makes a huge difference. So now we're going to try some where we take the sentence and we have to write and solve the equation for the sentence. So let's see what happens. The sum, so let's kind of highlight the important words. The sum is important, twice a number, and 6. The sum of twice a number and 6 is 16. Okay, pretty much I highlighted the whole thing, but I want to point out, what does is stand for? What should we put in place of is, Trayton?
Multiply.
Not multiply. That's of. Sometimes of, but is isn't multiply. Cece, what is it? Equals. Is usually stands for the equals. Okay, so let's see if we can put this together. So if it says sum, what operation are we going to use? Addition. And I told you where you see the word and, that's where you put the operation. So there's my addition. So anything in front of it goes before the plus sign, and anything after it goes after the plus sign. So before the plus sign it says twice a number. Well, we already said when we see the word number, we're supposed to put what there? A variable. So let's pick n for that number. How would you show twice a number, Layla? So we're going to put 2n in front of the plus sign. And is the plus sign. 6 after the plus sign. We already said is equals, and then 16. So we've done it. The sum of twice a number and 6 is 16. Now, at this point, once you get this written, you need to do the steps, the 2 steps that we've done the last few days. So what would we do first here? Braxton?
You would subtract the 6 from the 6.
Subtract 6 from the 6.
And then subtract 6 from 16.
And the 16. Right, and this gives you 10. You're right. What else do I bring below that line, Braxton?
The 2n.
The 2n.
And you put a division sign under it.
Not yet. We got to cancel out the 6's and bring down the equal sign. Now we've got 2n equals 10. Now what do we do?
You put a division sign under 2.
Yeah.
And then 10.
Right. We're going to divide both sides by
2.
good. So that n equals
5.
5. Good job. That's exactly right. So sometimes the hard part is actually writing the equation, not the solving of it. So we're going to continue doing 2-step equations, but we've got to write the equation first. Any questions on that one? Okay, let's go see what the next one says. 8 less than -4 times a number is 24. Okay, I'm only going to highlight this part because that's the important. Less than. It's not like using the word minus. Okay, what do we know here? 8 less than 4 times a number is 24. Trayton, what do you think?
8 minus 4.
Okay, so I agree this is 4n. And it is -4n. But if it's less than, remember when we use the word than, what do you do with the number in front? It goes behind. So what should actually be written first? Not -4n, okay? And then less than is what operation? Minus 8. And then is 24 would be equal 24. Okay, Trayton, what would be my first step in solving this? Add 8 to both sides. Okay. What do I bring below the line? -4n equals 32. And now divide both sides by -4 so that n equals, what would that be? Good job. -8. Perfect. -8. Be careful of the less than. Any questions? All right, those are kind of your basic writing the equations from just a sentence. Now we're going to talk about some word problems here. And let me work on this first one, and maybe you guys can help me with the second one. So we're talking about Sue and Bill. Okay? So I'm going to, over here, and I've done this before, I'm going to write over here on the left, Sue and Bill, and see what I can figure out about them. Sue made one more poster than twice what Bill made. Together they made 37 posters. How many did they each make? So it doesn't really tell me what Bill made, so I'm going to say that Bill is equal to B. Sue made one more than twice Bill. Well, if she made twice Bill, what would that look like? 2B. Well, one more than that would be 2B plus 1. Sue made one more than twice Bill, 2B plus 1. Now, together they made 37. What that means to me is Sue plus Bill equals 37. Together they made 37. So Sue plus Bill is 37. So instead of writing Sue, I'm going to put 2B plus 1. Plus, instead of writing Bill, I put B. Exactly. And that equals 37. Do these look familiar now? Didn't we do some like this? We have to combine like terms on the left. What are my like terms on the left?
2B and B.
2B and B. So 3B plus 1 equals 37. And now we just got to go ahead and solve this. So I'm going to subtract 1. 3B equals 36. Divide by 3. B equals 12. So when it says how many did they each make? So I'm going to say Bill made 12 posters. Well, how many did Sue make? How can I figure that out? Tori?
37 minus 12.
Well, I could do that, or why don't we go right up here where Sue made 2B plus 1. What would I do with that, Tori?
12 times 2 plus 1.
Yeah, 2 times 12 plus 1. So 24 plus 1. Sue made 25 posters. So make sure you label those like that. All right, so we're going to do one more story problem, and this one talks about Gary and Zena. Gary trained 32 more dogs than Zena. Together, they trained 126 dogs. How many dogs did Gary train? So, what should I do first, do you think? Bless you. What do you think I should do first?
Gary and Zena.
Put Gary and Zena. So I'm going to talk about Gary, and I'm going to talk about Zena. So Gary trained 32 more dogs than Zena. So which one am I just going to use a letter for, do you think? Zena. So we're going to say Zena is Z. And if Gary trained 32 more than her, what would that look like? 32 times Z. So he trained 32 times more than her?
Z plus.
Plus. More than's plus. So Z plus 32. 32 more than's 32 plus what she did.
Doesn't matter which way we write it.
No. You could put 32 plus Z or Z plus 32. That addition can go either way. So together, so that's another one of those where they want us to say Gary plus Zena. Together, they trained 126. So instead of Gary, we're going to put Z plus 32 plus, instead of Zena, Z, and that was 126. So combine like terms. What like terms do I have?
Z and Z.
Z and Z, which would be how much?
2Z.
Good. 2Z plus 32 equals 126. And now we do our normal two steps. Subtract your 32. So 2Z equals 94. Last is divide by 2. And Zena trained 47. But the question is, How many did Gary train? So we don't want to know for sure about Zena. We don't want to know for sure about Gary. And Gary was Zena plus 32. So Gary trained 79. How many dogs did Gary train? 79 dogs. Make sure that you go back and read what the question is wanting you to answer.